In this lesson, we're going to be talking about the Azure file storage type. We're going to reuse the same storage account that we created in the last lesson, but I will minimize the top header by clicking on this double arrow. Now we are reminded that there are 4 different types of Azure storage supported within an Azure storage account. They are blobs, files, tables, and queues. And in this lesson, we're talking about files. So I'm going to click on the Files tile. You can also find it on the left under the menu. It says File Service. So we can get access to the same thing from there. Now, files require shares in order for you to be able to store directories and files within them. This is very analogous to the container format within blob accounts. So we do need to create a file share in order to be able to do anything with the Azure files. We do have to give it a name. Now this name does not need to be unique across all of Azure, it just needs to be unique for this storage account. I gave it my name just to start. Now we do have the option of providing a quota. So by default, the largest file share that's supported is 5 terabytes. But you can basically restrict this from being to be smaller than 5 terabytes by providing a quota here. I could actually say 1024 gigabytes, and that would restrict this file share to only 1 terabyte. See, we've created our file share very quickly like this. We can go into the file share, and now we're again faced with something very similar to what is the container format within blobs. We have the ability to upload files or even create a directory structure. Within the file storage type, it does actually support proper directories, and so I can say top level directory, and then inside of that create secondary directory. We can see the familiar dot dot that represents the parent directory, etc. So we're creating an actual hierarchical file system within the Azure storage account. We can also upload files to this. So if I click the upload button within the Azure portal, we can actually select a file off of our system here. I'm going to select a text file from my system. You see a checkbox saying overwrite if the file already exists, but we know it doesn't, so we don't need to check it. And just like that, the file, it's only 3 kilobyte file, has been uploaded into our Azure storage account. Now, if we go into the properties for this file, Azure actually provides a URL, fully qualified URL that we can access the file from. And you might think if you were to paste this URL into a browser window, that you might actually be able to see the contents of the file. But as you can see, if I do paste this URL into a browser window, I get invalid header value error. So Azure storage accounts are secure by default. And so you cannot just access the files within it without having a secure access signature or some other way of accessing those files. Now, if we go back up to the storage, the share level, we can see there's a button that says connect. Now, this provides us a few other ways for us to connect to this storage account. Now, there are Windows, Linux, and Mac OS options. Okay. There is a PowerShell script that can actually mount this file system on my computer. You'll see it's got the fully qualified name with the share and everything. It'll mount it as the Z drive. So I'm going to copy this PowerShell script and I'm going to run it in PowerShell. Now keep in mind this very important warning at the bottom that says you do need to have permission to use port 445 from your local network outbound. And most internet service providers may block port 445. So if you're running this from a computer that's running in a residential area, for instance, this might be quite common that port 445 is blocked. This is because there's a bit of a security concern. Many residential internet providers do not want you to be sharing Windows file systems hackers could hack into your personal computers, etc. So it's quite common that this port is blocked. So we're going to have to run this script on a Windows server running inside of Azure to test. So here we are in Windows PowerShell in a virtual machine that's running within Azure. I've pasted the PowerShell script that was given to us by our file share, and I'm going to hit enter. Now it's going to connect to the file share over port 445. It's using the primary key, access key. Now we can switch over to the Z drive, and we can see that the Z drive did mount, and my top level secondary directories got created. Thank you.txt did get pasted there. So we do have a file share that's running in a storage account that any computer with the right credentials can mount and use as just as a normal Windows drive, and that's how you do that within an Azure storage account.